Hello, book lovers. So today I'm going to be reviewing Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. So this is a YA contemporary novel that I picked up a while ago, and it took me way longer than it should have to finish. The reason for it was because it was just not that great. I gave it 3 out of 5. The sad thing about it was that I was totally willing to give it 4 out of 5 in the beginning. I mean, not in the beginning, in the middle. I started really liking this novel. I thought it was so great. I started having more feelings towards Penny, as in I started being way more tolerant of her. But then things just happened and it just went back to being like 3 out of 5. The reason for it is mostly because a lot of the things in this novel just kind of fall short, or they get swept under the rug, or they are underdeveloped. I feel as if Penny's character is underdeveloped, or maybe overly developed. The funny thing is that there are 2 main characters in this novel. Sam Becker, who is the love interest of Penny Lee. And they both kind of deal with life, they both kind of try to navigate the waters of adulthood, and they both do it differently, but they kind of have each other to bounce their thoughts back and forth. So Penny just starts college in Texas, and she is studying literature. Sam is working at a coffee shop. He's also a pastry chef. He's an amateur pastry chef, and his life is like a mess. He has no real place to stay. He dropped out of school. His relationship with his mom is really, really bad. His ex-girlfriend might be pregnant. He doesn't even know if she is or she isn't. And as he has a panic attack, he meets Penny, and she kind of saves him. And they decide to exchange numbers, and they become each other's emergency contact. But obviously, it kind of develops and goes way beyond that. They realize that they have a lot in common, and they kind of they become friends, and that friendship develops into something more. So my problem with this novel was the fact that we get a huge glimpse into Penny's head, and we kind of see why she likes Sam so much and what she's thinking and how she's feeling. Sam, on the other hand, not so much, which I found a little bit frustrating because he's also supposed to be the other main character in this novel, but we don't really know what he's thinking, like, other than he seems to me to be a little bit detached most of the time. And it's not even detached in this attractive way. It's mostly detached because the author can't really give him a strong voice. She can give Penny a strong voice, but for some reason when it comes to Sam, his voice falls short for me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because when an author writes from a perspective of a character that's a different gender from them, they usually have a hard time making that voice believable, which is something that I've encountered several times. It's really hard to write a story from a perspective of a male character, especially I find when it's a YA novel. I mean, okay, in general, I just find it to be quite challenging, especially when it's aimed at teenagers, because it has to be a bit more sophisticated, and I find that a lot of authors are struggling with that. So there was that problem, that I wish that Sam's voice was stronger, but it wasn't really all that strong. It felt as if his character was present there just to support Penny and help her character to develop and sort of, develop her arc, which was a little bit frustrating because his story was way more interesting than Penny's in many different ways, but we didn't really get to see that. We didn't really get to see him grow as a character or develop as a character, although he had so many interesting things going for him. His mother is an alcoholic. He's trying to shoot a documentary about a Mexican kid who's a skater and whose mom is an illegal immigrant. He's trying to go back into film school. His relationship with his girlfriend is very rocky. You don't really know what's going on till the very end, and she kind of makes this final appearance, and it just feels as if she was conveniently there, conveniently not there. So all of these things I feel as if were placed in the story to kind of just help Penny's narrative, which I didn't really appreciate because her story is not all that interesting. She's surrounded by people who are very vibrant, and she herself just chooses to be very recluse. She chooses to be very closed off to people. It has like an explanation, but in general, she's just one of those people who are extremely introverted. And even as an introvert, she doesn't have a lot of interesting stories to tell. Her relationship with her mother is very complicated, and her relationship with her mother made me very angry because her mom is a single parent, and she basically pays for everything that, that Penny has. She pays for her tuition, she pays for her clothes, her food, everything, and she doesn't even tell Penny that Penny needs to go and get a part-time job. And Penny never seems to really appreciate it. She takes so many things in her life for granted that it's just painful, and I want to slap her sometimes because I want to tell her, I know that your life is not perfect, but instead of like appreciating the good things in your life, you don't even seem to appreciate the good things that you have in your life, especially when you have perspective. She has a lot of perspective, and she kind of realizes a little bit towards the ending where she decides to be a little bit more forgiving towards her mom. And that was kind of like a heartwarming moment, but at the same time, there were so many things that were left open-ended by the end of the novel, and it seems like the author didn't really think that it was important at all to address them, which I found to be quite frustrating, to be honest. What was going on with like Sam's documentary? What was going on with his mom? Are they gonna finally, make amends? Is that even an option in the story? What about his ex-girlfriend Lorraine? Because it feels as if things are not really over in that department. But none of it seems to be important, because even Sam doesn't seem to care about his future. The only thing he seems to care about is his relationship with Penny. And I found it a little bit backward. It just made me feel as if he's one of these people who just only care about being in a relationship. That's their only concern, which was, in my opinion, not a very good role model. It just felt as if Sam is kind of warped, and he has a lot of problems, which I'm sure he does. But at the same time, instead of seeking like proper help, instead of trying to figure out his life, he's just concerned whether Penny wants to date him or not. And I just found it to be really, really bad, because I felt as if he's just going to continue doing whatever it is that he's doing, and the moment that Penny's going to break up with him for whichever reason, he's just going to go down that spiral until he finds someone new to date. And that was frustrating, and I just think that if you have the chance to actually write a book and sign a contract with a publishing house that's going to publish it, at least make your characters a bit more positive, a bit more of a positive role model, so that at least that readers who struggle with different things can look up to them and not just feel like, well, a solution to my problems is alcohol, or the solution to my problems is a relationship. And most of the time it's not. The solution to your problems is kind of healing yourself, and obviously surrounding yourself with positive people is a really important step, but it's also about trying to figure out what you're doing wrong in your life at the moment and how you can fix it. And it seems like Choi didn't really address it that much. Her most important thing was to kind of bring Sam and Penny together as a couple, to kind of ship them. And in my opinion, that was a very weak strategy, but I mean, it worked, because eventually they do end up getting together, spoiler. And I just found it frustrating overall. So this is my verdict on this book. It's a pretty nice read. It does have some triggers in it. So it does have sexual assault. It does have alcohol. Some mild, like some swearing. So if you're the kind of person who gets offended by it, maybe this book is not really for you. Overall, it's quite enjoyable. Not my best read of 2018, unfortunately. I was so ready to give it 4 out of 5. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5. Kind of likable, pretty cute at times. Could have been better. Yeah.